Cowboys fix-it list. What has to get better for them to make an impact, not only against the Eagles, though some of the shine has been taken off that game, of course, but in the playoffs? And I get it. People are going to text in and be like, nothing, they suck, they'll always suck, blah, 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 blah. Like, I get it. And I know that some people are going to text in, but that's clearly not what the Cowboys are going to do. That's not what they're thinking. So what is on your list after a loss that was really bad? Can I go through some of the terrible aspects of that loss? Is the Jaguars had lost 20 straight games to the NFC. That was the longest interconference streak since the merger in 1970. The last time Jacksonville beat an NFC team was 4 years ago, and they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys lost a 17-point second-half lead to go along with one of their other losses is a 14-point second-half lead, and that is problematic. So I just wanted to throw those out there, and then we can get into the specifics of things that have to be fixed.
Okay, so I want to be general, and then I will get specific. Okay. You can't turn the ball over anymore. You're just not good enough. You're not good enough defensively to overcome it.
Yeah.
So I think that's very fixable, because I can get into things where I might agree with Tolos that I might not think some things are fixable, but I think this one is. And I get, you can blame Dak, you can blame the offensive line, you can blame a wide receiver. Yes, all blame goes to different people on all of these turnovers they've had in the last, let's just say 6 weeks.
Yep.
If they're going to beat, besides the NFC South team, if they are going to beat San Francisco or Philadelphia come playoff time, they can't turn the ball over one time. I know that's, hey, the way to not turn the ball over is to kneel it and punt it every time. I get it. But I mean, You have to play aggressive, smart, aggressive, but then you can't turn it over. You're just not good enough to overcome it anymore. If you turn the ball over, there's a strong chance that it's going to lead to 7 points the other way. And you're just not good enough defensively to overcome those mistakes now. So I would say something that is fixable and has to be, if they're going to make a playoff run, if the Cowboys are going to win 2 or 3 playoff games and make it to the NFC Championship or Super Bowl, it's going to be because they have at most 1 turnover through those 3 games.
Now, and this is intriguing, and I want to make sure we straighten out any confusion from the 817. Love that y'all are doing this segment. Hate y'all are making it sound like their issues are a 1-game deal. Not at all. I'm just telling you the jarring stats coming out of that Jags game. Look, I get it.
That's why I said 6 weeks. Dak keeps throwing picks.
Absolutely.
Whoever fault they are, some of them are Dak's fault. Some of them are the offensive line fault. Some of them are wide receivers' fault.
And to your point, that's why Dak, since he came back in week 7, leads the league in interceptions. And I believe I've seen conflicting reports, either the first or second highest interception percentage in the league.
Yeah, I know he's up there right now. Herm Edwards talking about 10 interceptions since week 8, and that's the most in the NFL.
Yeah, and then his interception percentage for the entire season, I think it's him and Justin Fields, I do believe, that are 1 and 2. And Justin Fields, known better for moving the ball down the field via running the ball as opposed to passing. So that is problematic. And the thing that continues to get lost in this, and again, it goes far beyond this, but I want to point out, I think some people are underplaying how huge a deal that first interception from Dak was. And that's the interception that I do think was his fault. The one in overtime, I'm not blaming that on him whatsoever. But look at how the game had been playing out since you ran into that interception. Y'all are trading field goals, and it's 27-10. The Jaguars move lickety-split right down the field. They score a touchdown, 27-17. All right? But you still have a 10-point lead. But within 2 plays, after I believe you get sacked and then throw the interception, you leave Jacksonville with a short field. And now, in the span of 3 minutes, it's gone from 27-10 to 27-24. I get it. They scored a ton of points, and the defense needs to take a lot of blame for this. But that interception was very costly in the flow of the game as well.
Yeah, it gave them life.
Absolutely.
And those are the ones that we get so mad, at least I would, with Tony Romo. What the hell, man? You're up by 14 points. You're up by 17 points. There's no reason to take that risk right there. If you have to punt the ball, you have to punt the ball. Make those guys drive on you. And for some reason, Dak has in his career, if you were complaining about him, you're like, man, he's too conservative. Yeah, I mean, but look, he only has 4 picks in 16 starts or 15 starts. He didn't play the last game of the year. But as his career has progressed, you're like, dude, I don't feel like you're understanding time and situation with some of your risk-reward plays.
Yeah. Let's get to the defense, though. Because that's where
this is where I'm afraid there's not much fixable right now.
The defense, and this is the thing that I know sometimes you say it's trolls and everything like that, but somebody was like, did you idiots not see all the stops the defense made before the offense stopped sputtering? That's awesome. They gave up 500 yards offense in the game and 27 points in the second half alone. That's a losing scenario. I don't care. Unless
and they did get the stop in overtime. Like, I give them credit. When the Cowboys lost the toss and got Jacksonville to punt, I thought the Cowboys are going to sneak away here with a win.
And then Noah Brown happened. And yes, I understand all of that. But the defense has still been problematic. And one of the things they have to fix is, my goodness, I know we made fun of this before. I am hoping that Nahshon Wright has something. I don't even need him to be average. Just be better than Kelvin Joseph, because Kelvin Joseph was awful. He bit on the stop and go that was the 59-yard touchdown to Zay Jones. And then very next possession, they come right back out there. Joseph gets burned again on a crossing pattern that led to the score. And at that point, Dan Quinn was like, for the love of God, or whatever he actually said. And he put Nahshon Wright in. So I'm hoping that Nahshon Wright can be better than Kelvin Joseph. I'm not here to tell you that the guy who sat on the bench all year is just going to be magical as soon as he pops in. If he could be average, holy crap.
This is overall picture. I agree with you that it has to be better. And I think the only way it gets better is you have to give those guys help. They're bad.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have done over the last few years an outstanding job of drafting. Unfortunately, they did a really bad job, it looks like, with Kelvin Joseph and Nahshon Wright. Now, luckily, Bland, they did a great job with later in the draft the next year. But the guys that they wanted to be, let's be honest here, they thought that these guys would be their second and third corners next year, for sure. If not already by now, that they were drafted that first year, fourth and fifth corners. Second year, maybe third and fourth cornerbacks, and as we get to Thanksgiving, pushing to these are our 2 other guys off of Diggs, and we're looking at it going, unfortunately, these guys probably aren't NFL players. And so
I'm with you.
It's going to be really tough, and this is Dan Quinn. Can you cover that mess up? Whichever guy you play. I think they're both bad in different ways, but...
Man, no, I don't disagree with you. It makes me sad. They're both bad. They're just bad in different ways.
Yeah, I just think sad. Like Kelvin Joseph, from what we understand, and I agree with this, he's just really stupid. He doesn't understand how football works, and he's never going to understand how football works. He doesn't really care to understand how football works. He has other things that he wants to do, which he'll find out. He'll make zero money rapping. And he'll make $0 and a whole bunch of bad decisions with his money, and probably at 40 years old be broke and in big trouble.
Wow.
But when it comes to Nahshon Wright, I don't know if he's physically gifted enough to do the things you need him to do. Now, you got to be able to, Dan Quinn, it's going to be tough, but can you try to cover some of that up so you don't get beat too many times?
How tough is that when you also, because I think you're spot on about that, how tough is that when you also have to you have to fix the run stopping solutions in the absence of Hankins and LVE? Now, like, Hankins is going to be out for the next 3 games. LVE, we know at least this week. Who knows after that? But you might be looking at multiple weeks there as well. How do you work on that? Because the run defense got torched by ETN and company.
I'm with you, and the answer is you're screwed a little bit there, but I would rather give up 6 or 7 yards a carry. I don't want to.
Sure.
So this is where people are like, no, I don't want to at all. But I saw what happens when Kelvin Joseph was out there. They snap the ball, you throw it 50 yards down the field. It's a 65-yard touchdown. I'm hoping that on some of these run plays, we do stop them. I'm hoping that maybe there's a holding and it sets them back behind the chains where they have to pass 2 times in a row to try to get a first down. Most likely, we didn't see Travis Etienne, and it can happen, rush for a 60-yard gain or have a big run for a touchdown where you're like, we have to stop this because now they're getting huge plays. They are getting first downs from it,
But it doesn't hurt you as quickly,
right.
at least.
And I'm thinking that there's maybe a way where the other team messes up on a running play. We've seen the Cowboys do it. We're like, we're running, we're driving, we're doing this, and then holding 1st and 20. It makes it tough to then run the ball 3 times for 20 yards.
Now, as you can probably imagine, I have another idea that I hope will help with that. From the 214 Cowboys Fix It list, stop thinking Dak can pass us to the Super Bowl. That is an intriguing philosophy, especially given how effective the run game has been this year. If you look at Jacksonville and don't think it's been as effective there, one positive is I feel like they're going to move away from the rotation unless there are injuries with Tyron Smith and Jason Peters, because I think the numbers were Jason Peters, 3.8 yards per play on offense. Tyron Smith, when he's at right tackle, 6.1 yards per play on offense. So the potential is there for that. And then the other thing is find a way to find the defensive pressure again. Because that's probably, at the end of the day, if you're going to fix anything on defense, that's probably the only way it's going to happen is by harassing them into quick or bad decisions.
The good answer is, how do I protect Kelvin Joseph / Nashawn Wright, is I give the quarterback less time to see him.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know if, because, people will argue that Dan Quinn got out-schemed last week, or maybe you think it's been for the last 2 weeks, or out-coached, or whatever the case might be. So as much ire as goes at Kellen Moore, and I understand that, we've talked about that all season and last season, this is time for Dan Quinn to need to step up as well, because one of the reasons you lost those second half leads of 14 and 17 points is because you struggled on defense. And the last 2 weeks, they've got 1 sack total.
The last thing I'll add, which sounds very tough, after I said don't turn over the ball, especially come playoff time, I don't think you can afford it, is you also have to win the penalty battle. As we just talked about, you probably can't put Dak into 1st and 20 or 2nd and 17 or something like that, because right now the Cowboys are not more talented than a lot of teams going into the playoffs because of injuries, because of the way they've been playing lately. You're going to have to play the smartest, cleanest football to beat some teams that might be better than you.